this video, we'll be discussing chapter 4.4 of your workbook. So in this video lesson, we'll be focusing on changing percents to fractions. Okay, just like what we did in our class, you try to highlight the title, so that's our lesson focus for this video. And this is page 144 of your Math 8 workbook. Okay, so you can also write the date on top on the upper right, so the date on which you watch this video. And again, I want you to do 2-column notes, so a third of your paper, then you draw a straight vertical line. So what is percent? Or the symbol is just given by that. When you say percent, it just means out of 100. It's actually a way of naming parts of a whole like fraction. But the key word there is that it is out of 100. That is always the case when you hear this percent or that symbol, the percentage. So let's take an example. So you have 20% to fraction. So how would I write 20% into fraction? So you can think of that as, well, you have 20%, okay? Since it means out of 100, so that means you're taking 20 parts out of 100. So if you can observe here, the number there before your percentage symbol becomes the numerator. So this is the numerator of your fraction. And if you can see, just change the percentage symbol into 100 because it means out of 100. So again, the percentage symbol just becomes the denominator. So this will always be the denominator. Always denominator. Okay. And then you need to simplify that one. So you need to simplify your fraction. So how do we simplify fraction? Well, if you have 20 over 100, both are divisible by 20. That means that I can divide 20 by 20 as well as my denominator by 20. So if I'm gonna do that, it gives me 1 over 5. So therefore, 20% is just equal to 1 over 5. Okay. Or visually, what you can do is that if I gonna draw a 10 by 10 square, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 10 also as my base. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have a 10 by 10 square. So 20% means that I'm taking the part. So I'm taking out 20 parts out of 100. So if you're gonna count this big square here contains 100 smaller squares. So 20% means that I'm just taking this part here. So 20%. So if you're gonna visualize that one, so this is your 20%. So 20% is 20 parts out of 100. Or what this means in fraction form, well, I'm taking uh, out one part for every 5 parts. So uh, again, 20% is just equivalent to 1 over 5. So let's take another example. Example 2. So let's say we want to express 150% to fraction. So again, I'm gonna do the 2-column notes. The question is at the left, then the solution would be at the right portion. So 150%. So again, if I'm gonna write that one into its fraction form, always this number here would represent the numerator. So that would be 150. And always the denominator is 100. So you can observe that's that. Then the percentage symbol means out of 100. So that means that over 100. So in this case, just don't forget to simplify. So if I'm gonna simplify this one, both can be divided by 50. So I'll divide both by 50, gives me 3 over 2, or in mixed fraction form, that would be 1 and 1/2. So therefore, 150% is just equivalent to 3/2 or 1 and 1/2. Okay, so that means that 150% is an equivalent to a fraction within you have one complete whole and fractional part. So 1 and 1/2 or 3/2. So example number 3. So let's say for example I've given a percentage with a fraction. So how would I change that one to uh, fraction? So you have 25 and 1/2%. So if you're given this one here, what you're gonna do is change to mixed number. Uh, change no change mixed number to improper proper fraction. So if you can remember, how would we change 25 and 1/2 to improper fraction. So you have 25 times 2 gives me 50, and then plus 1 all over 2. So that gives me 51 over 2. So 51 over 2 is just equivalent to 25 and 1 half. So if I'm gonna do that, I can rewrite my 25 and 1 half as 51 over 2%. So now, just like before, this number here would represent my numerator. So that would be 51 over 2. And then again, the percentage would denote the denominator of 100. Okay, so again, percent 100, the denominator. We call this one as a complex fraction. However, if you can remember, you can rewrite this one into division operation as 51 over 2 divided by, so this part here can be changed to a division operation by 100 over 1. Remember that a whole number could be written as a fraction just divided by 1. Okay, so now do this operation here. What is 51 over 2 divided by 100 over 1? So recall division of fraction. Recall division of fractions. So is it not that when you try to divide fractions, we will not do anything with the first fraction, but instead of division, we change it to multiplication, but we're gonna do the reciprocal of the second fraction, or we call this one as the dividend, 1 over 100. So that would give me 51 times 1 over 2 times 100, which gives me 51 over 200. And again, the last step would be simplify if possible. But in this case, I think you can no longer simplify that one out. So therefore, you have 25 and 1/2% is just equivalent to 51 over 200. Okay, so that's all for this video. The next video would be on changing percents to decimal.